Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. Now, this is a request from my community member, of course, and I wanted to make sure to provide this. That's the whole reason I started this channel, right, in the first place, is to kind of help you become more effective, better traders. So, when I do these analysis, taking my years of experience, I like to kind of help educate you in best practice. So, thank you, Amy. I believe I pronounced that correctly. Thank you very much for making a request here to cover SiaCoin because it definitely took off here today, and we want to look at the reason why and understand the big picture and what its potential could look like so we can give kind of an informed decision on where it should be in the near future. That's the whole point of this, right? Use history to predict and understand the future. That being said, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. You should always do your own research and make sure that you learn as much as you can from as many people as possible. Don't take what I say as gospel, even though, yes, I have an 85% success rate with all my trades that I share with my community members. Link in the description below for that. I love trading, right? And I've learned everything I possibly can from a myriad of different people and demographics. And I can tell you that this isn't just a one size fits all. I'm more of a conservative trader. I take profits when I can. I'm more careful and I appreciate slower growth that is consistent instead of these high ups and strong lows, right? There's different ways and different traders find what works best for you, right? So I just like to throw that out there so you understand that you are in good hands, yes, but I'm not going to be the bee's knees for everyone based on the simple fact that we all have different trading styles. So enough rambling about that. I hope you understand. I just have your best interest in mind by providing you with best practice, and we can all hopefully learn and grow together. So I'm looking forward to getting to know you a bit better. Feel free to message me through Telegram, but more importantly, check out my Patreon community and see if you are interested in something along those lines. I send out signals to all my members, and it's a really awesome group where we can all learn and essentially just continue to grow together as traders. So really love it. Awesome situation there. So check that out in your own time. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump into SiaCoin. Let's take a look. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look here at SiaCoin. And just before we do, we look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first, get a quick understanding of the market so we know what's going on. And we can jump deeper, a deep dive into the coin that we're looking at here today. But I think it's important to look at Bitcoin first because obviously if you don't know what Bitcoin's doing, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. And that's putting it lightly. Now, to preface as well, here I use TradingView.com desktop application. Recommend the paid version. I have a link in the description below if you're interested in checking that out. See if you like it, try it before you buy it. I recommend it just based on the fact you can get more than 2 indicators present at any given time, and that's extremely important when you're doing a thorough analysis. All right, so just to touch on the one-day chart, we can see the price definitely closed above 50,000. In fact, it's closer to about 51.5, I think somewhere in that range. So just keep in mind that we definitely surpassed a support level or previous resistance. Now it's a support. Just bear this in mind also is that Bitcoin's a bit on the overextended side. Okay, so we're at like a 9 on TD sequential. Therefore, we should expect to see retracement back to the downside. I'm speculating the price will come back down somewhere in the range of 48 to 45,000. I know that seems aggressive, but we have a head and shoulders pattern that is still somewhat forming. It's still very potential, and I think based on that sentiment alone, we could see the price come back down. Either way, I hope it doesn't, honestly, just based on the simple fact that we like to see Bitcoin shooting upwards, and October is the month in which we're expecting to see Bitcoin come up. But my thought process is that we should see a leg down first before we get that massive increase. We might already have seen that increase, I'm not sure, but it would make the most sense to have one last leg down to bounce off a major support and to bounce back up. I would speculate 46,800 might get tested soon. Just a theory. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. That would be great. For everyone's wallet, right? We all want it to go up unless you're shorting. Coincidentally, I'm shorting, but that's besides the point. All right, enough about that. Let's go ahead and move on to Ethereum. Oh, wait, before we do, sorry, this also kind of leads to the price action today and the last couple days, honestly. We do have a golden cross forming almost at its point, almost, crossing essentially on the 4-hour chart. Keep in mind the 4-hour chart isn't really the standard for a golden cross. It's more effective on the 1-day chart. That's the more common one, but it's still relevant, right? It's still a thing. But either way, the price action is still well above that, so that's still considered to be a support and resistance level. Just want to throw that out there. Similar scenario here with Ethereum, just a couple of days late. We might see a price increase based on that kind of coming to fruition. But for right now, we have a support level at about 3,200, resistance at 36. So 3,600, 3,200, we got about a $400 channel, whereas the price is kind of hovering in the upper half, right above the 200-day simple moving average, working as a support level. Okay, let's just go ahead and take a look here at SiaCoin. We can see a significant price increase here in just a short amount of time. So SiaCoin took off right about an hour and a half ago. So, I mean, looking at that, what is that? That's an increase of about 27% in just under an hour and 45 minutes. So somewhere in that time frame, things kind of went crazy bonkers. So, thanks again to my subscriber for requesting that I cover this. You know who you are. Thank you so much. But regarding the, SiaCoin, why don't we take a look at the one-day chart to kind of get a big perspective before we look at the 4-hour, because I think it's important to work our way down from the top. Any good trader will look at all the time frames, at least the important ones, to make an informed decision. And therefore, just to clarify, we want to kind of preface here. First of all, April 17th, you can see it was going crazy up until that point. I mean, we were looking at about 6.5 cents, which is significant considering how low it was not a month prior to that. But April 17th, that was the first major Bitcoin sell-off. So to close that green was actually pretty impressive, but it kind of worked its way down, of course, and it came back up. That's pretty standard for a lot of altcoins. Then we see May 12th, first Elon candle, and then, of course, May 19th, China candle. It got kind of hammered hard. So, I mean, from top to bottom, it retraced about 75% from its highest point. And that's just from, 3 major Bitcoin sell-offs. So, unfortunate, yes, but good news is the price is very effective and low, all things considered. So what I'm getting at here is that, 2 cents is kind of a steal when you can see what this thing is capable of, right? So that to me is a really good sign. Yes, we got some improvement, so to speak. We got a lot of ground to cover, but all in all, SiaCoin's looking pretty good. So I'm not surprised that we saw a ramp up here today, because that's kind of coincides with the last 2 days of trading, Mondays and Tuesdays. Makes sense. We normally see red Mondays and red Tuesdays, but in this case, we saw kind of the inverse. Therefore, a lot of altcoins just took off. So taking a look here, oops, apologize for that. Pressed the wrong button. So taking a look here at the RSI, let's take a quick peek, because we're back up over 50, which is awesome. So if you don't know this already, there's a support level. It's kind of invisible, even though there's a dotted line. People don't recognize this, but 50 is a support level for the RSI. In other words, you kind of look at this here. You can see it spent a lot of time either above or below, right? So below, above, obviously there's a correlation. Sometimes when it ramps all the way up, it goes straight from 30 to 70. That can happen, but for the most part, you will see the price kind of stay on one channel or the other. Therefore, with it breaking above, and that essentially broke above before this candlestick closed, or started essentially, we can kind of assume that the price is considered bullish. It's a bullish sentiment. Therefore, an entry point, just based on this sentiment alone, just looking at the one-day chart alone, you can pretty much say that it's a safe investment to move forward with this, right? Again, that's not the only decision maker, but I can tell you that RSI being over 50 implies that we're at a bullish convergence rather than a bearish divergence, okay? So just keep that in mind. That's a very good sign. We did also have a convergence here on the MACD about 4 days ago, which is right around here. So we'll just quickly mark that, kind of get a brief understanding of what that looks like. But all in all, looking pretty good. Let's take a look at the 4-hour. Up above both moving averages. Good thing is the 200 looks like it's working as a support level, so that kind of reaffirms the fact that the price does continue to come back down. You should see it bounce off of roughly about, just say, we'll say 1.7. Now, we haven't looked at any support and resistance levels yet. Let's go ahead and quickly identify that. Got a resistance here that could be a pretty impactful one, so we'll go ahead and mark that there. Again, right around 2 cents, or what is that, we could say 2 cents. It's pretty darn close. So I'd say 2 cents is a pretty safe number here. You can expect the price to kind of either hover above or below that. So when this one-day candlestick closes, if it closes above 2 cents, it's going to probably likely use that as a support and continue upwards. If it closes below, it may be considered a resistance. And if Bitcoin continues to sell off, which I'm speculating might happen, then we might see that work as a resistance zone, and you may want to consider waiting. Again, it really just depends on how the next 24 hours unfolds, okay? So we've got this this impactful support and resistance zone. We don't know where it's going to stay, either above or below. Let's see here. RSI is up over 70. That's pretty standard. The common rule of thumb is to wait for the RSI to come back down. I actually have an RSI video. Check that out. on best practice for the RSI, but simply put, when it's up over 70, it's not a problem. It's not like you just want to immediately sell your position. I guess in retrospect, it might have been advantageous, right? If you'd seen that. But right now, at this point in time, with it being where it's at, oftentimes the best course of action is no action until the RSI comes tapering off and comes back down closer to 70. But a lot of times too, again, 50 is a support, right? 70 is a support as well. Now that it broke above and stayed above, we can kind of assume that when the price comes down, it may actually bounce off the 70. That happens. So just bear that in mind. We've also got a convergence on the MACD here at 0100 today. So we'll just go ahead and mark that. So 100 is this guy right here. Okay, we'll take a look at the Ishimoku cloud. So again, these markings here, by the way, 1 day MACD convergence, 4 hour MACD convergence. We'll see if that correlates with the Ishimoku cloud on the 1 hour chart. Because if you're new to the channel, I'm a firm believer in using the MACD convergence on the 4 hour chart and then confirming also the Ishimoku cloud on the 1 hour chart to see the prices above. When those two things kind of communicate, it's kind of a recipe for success, and it really just helps you understand what's going to happen. In other words, it's a swing trader's best friend. If you catch a MACD convergence happening on the 4 hour chart, take a quick look at the 1 hour chart. If the price is above on the cloud, it's like green light, red light, green light, you go. And let me explain that here. Take a look here. So let's see. You can see this big increase in price, right? So the price ramped up right after the convergence, somewhere in the range of 25%. Now, where the price is at right now, you see where the price just barely peaked above on the 1 hour chart here. You could have hypothetically taken entry right there. Anywhere in this 4 hour time frame would have been a perfect entry. And again, I know hindsight's 2020. It's easy to kind of identify, oh, that's an amazing spot. That's what you want to look for. Well, these are things that I look for, and these are signals that I send to my patrons. So as soon as I get something like this, I send this to my community and I share that with them. Right? Because I actually have a signal group. I have a trading bot that actually allows you to one-click follow when I send a signal. And I look for things like this. So be sure to check that out if you're interested. But I can tell you right now bluntly that this is like a little double rainbow, and it's really awesome when it happens. So obviously that did occur, and we can kind of see that. But generally speaking, those are things you want to look for. Again, a common rule of thumb: price above the Ishimoku cloud, buy signal; below the cloud, sell signal. And when it's within, it's pretty much a no buy zone, right? So just say heaven for hindsight, right? Take a look back, right? So we saw the MACD convergence on the 1 day chart, and you take an entry right then. Yes, it was a little premature, but it's still a very, very low entry point. You got in 4 days before it took off. Yeah, that's all well and good. That's how swing trading works. So you had got in right here, you would have experienced the same amount of growth as if you had caught the 4 hour convergence on the MACD, right? So again, MACD convergence on the 1 day chart is good. MACD convergence on the 4 hour chart is great. And back that up with a 1 hour Ishimoku cloud, you're all set and good to go. All right, that's pretty much almost all you need, for lack of better terms. Now, finding a good entry point is a different story. We look at other things for that. And actually quickly, before we jump into finding an entry point here, if that's an option, is to look here at TD sequential and just quickly identify where we're at here. Now we can kind of see we got a reset, and if you're new to TD sequential, just quick education on this here. It accounts from 1 to a 9. Once it hits a 9, it's considered exhausted, and it's preferable to use it on the 1 hour chart. So just say you have 9 hours of bullish momentum, you have a 9 on the TD sequential. What's supposed to happen? It's supposed to retrace and or come back down, or at least nothing else, consolidate and go sideways. Now we see that didn't happen here, because if we look at the 9, it should have went either sideways or retraced. It didn't do either of those because the bulls were in control. We had the MACD convergence. It pushes the price up. Therefore, it continued on its merry way on up to the upside. But as you can see here, it kind of had a small period of consolidation. We had a little bit of consolidation here that allowed for the numbers to reset essentially. And then we got back to a 1. So now we're at a 1, peaks up to a 3, and down back to a 4. So we're going to get a reset here in about 3 more hours. But what I'm getting at here is a simple fact that TD sequential is helpful to understand market exhaustion. And if you just say you see a 9 right now, you might want to consider selling or trimming your position, right? It's kind of a good rule of thumb, but it depends on if you're above or below the support level. Right? There's a lot of factors involved. This being below the potential resistance, it probably isn't the best consideration to take an entry, because that's likely driving the price down and keeping the price down, and in turn we still don't have that, that forward momentum. We're kind of lost steam, so to speak. It's like that gravitation is no longer there. Right. So we're just waiting. I'd recommend waiting a little bit to kind of take entry, even though, keep this in mind, 2 cents is a steal compared to where this thing is gone before. I think there's a strong chance this thing could literally 3x before year's over, based on the simple fact that Bitcoin is projected to hit 6 figures, right? Again, October, November, December, we should experience at least 50% growth in each month. And at that point, if that continuation occurs and SiaCoin continues to take off, then we're going to see a pretty strong return. So I think this is a pretty likely good investment, just big picture. And that's kind of my thoughts there. Let's quickly look at the 15-minute. We're probably going to have a reset on EMA and VWAP, which we did, and the price is currently under, but above EMA. So simply put, we really can't trust this because we're in a state of consolidation. EMA and VWAP is really helpful for identifying trends and breakouts, but it doesn't really help when the price is going sideways. So we won't even bother with that here for now. So let's just go ahead and quickly rewind, take a look at the 1-day chart. Let's mark another support and resistance level, which in this case is a resistance. Keep in mind, the price could reject at about 2.5. So that's the next major milestone. But once we pass that, it'll be fairly open season to continue upwards. I mean, we might see a resistance at about 3.1 cents. But for the most part, I think we're looking pretty good there. So again, yeah, I guess it's just to jump the gun here, essentially just kind of provide a prediction. The next 24 to 48 hours will essentially help us understand what's going to happen with that support and resistance level being established, right around 2 cents. Okay, based on that sentiment alone, once that breaks above, which it will eventually, if not soon, we'll see it possibly get signed out here right around 2 cents. Now, to clarify, if we look at the moving averages, also bear in mind, I kind of skipped over this earlier, we have a nice support level here at about 1.8 cents. And of course, a potential resistance at about 2.1 cents. So again, it's working itself into this little channel right now. So likely we might see a retracement down back to the 50 if Bitcoin continues to sell off. If Bitcoin progresses upwards and or sideways, we'll probably see it break above and then move towards right around 2.5 cents. Thereafter, once it breaks 2.5 cents, it's fairly open season. It should likely continue to push upwards, whereas the 50-day simple moving average will push the price further, and we will likely see, I would say, 3 to 4 cents pretty easy. That's just my sentiment, my guess, and what I might consider doing here is, maybe sending this out, maybe send this signal to my community members, because this does appear to be shaping up to be a pretty good coin that will likely have a long-term benefit. But for right now, again, short-term, 2 cents, I think is still a bargain compared to where it could and should be in the near future. All right, so hopefully you found benefit. If so, great. If not, it's okay. Better luck next time. But if you do like the format and the ways in which that I do things here, because again, I've been trading for about 15 years, you learn a thing or two with a lot of experiences, right? Then feel free to join my community. Let's get to know each other better, right? We have a private chat group. It's really awesome, cool environment. Everyone can learn and grow together. But furthermore, I send out signals where you can kind of one-click follow with the trading bot or just jump in yourself whenever you'd like. And it's a really awesome scenario. I do trend about 80 to 85% success rate right now, right about 84% in the last 4 months. I think about 35, 40 trades in. So really cool, fun stuff. Check it out. I actually have a link in the description below for that. And I actually have a video explaining what it entails in case you want to know more about it before you invest, right? Because again, this is investing. This isn't gambling. Let's all make sure that we know what we're getting into. Thanks again for your time. I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.